What's up, guys? Welcome into it, man. Boy, do we have a fun show for you today. Gonna be a good one. Hope everybody's having a great post-Monday celebration. Oh, yeah. All right, coming up on the show today. I know, right? We got our live streams going up here momentarily. Hang tight. I think everything's up and running right now, so if it is, then welcome aboard. If you're not on yet, then what the hell's wrong with you, man? Bottom of the hour, Dean Clancy. He is with Americans for Prosperity. We're going to talk about the Biden budget. He's also part of the Paragon Health Institute.
Till broadcast.
We'll be talking about the modernizing of Medicare on that system. We have some news today that blew my mind, man. I did not know. This one slipped under the radar. Obviously, the media not covering it until it's actually time for it to take effect, which it took effect yesterday, it looks like. Why did we not know about this? The hell, man. So, and I'm not going to tell you right now. No, I'm not. Also, here's one for you. Is it constitutional? Hold on. Daggone radio ads on TV or on the internet, on the interweb. Is it constitutional to have a debt ceiling? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. All the other sides bringing it up. Oh, yes.
1 minute till broadcast.
The world we live in today, man. Absolutely crazy. We'll get to all that and more coming up on the show. Lots of good stuff going on. I think we need to freshen up some of the music on here. Gotta flashen it up a little bit, man.
Seconds till broadcast.
All right, if you are on the live streams, welcome in as we get some of the live streams going. We are on Getter. I know OpsLens has been having problems with their Facebook feed. Go on the Getter page for OpsLens. A lot better feed on there. If you're on there, though, welcome in. Like it out, share it out, leave that comment. Break the algorithm. Let's have some fun today for a post-Monday celebration. Hang tight.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Republicans right now, the conservatives, which unfortunately, this is what we have to do every time, even after a vote where people are sick and tired of the establishment, they're sick and tired of the squeezy, middle-of-the-road, squishy kind of Republican rhinos, and we vote conservatives in, then we have to fight tooth and nail in D.C. to actually be heard within the Republican Party.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, darn right it is. Welcome into the program. What's up? Happy post-Monday celebration, the squishy Republicans. I love that intro because it really sets the tone. For those that are like, I like the middle of the road, I question you on what that middle of the road actually is. I like the middle of the road as well. I like common sense and liberty and limited government. But today, that's not middle of the road, man. That's like wicked, wild, radical free thinking called a Republican conservative or something. Welcome into the show. What's happening? Broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas on our flagship radio station. We are all over the country, multiple radio stations all over the place, plus TV, live streaming, podcasting, however you watch or listen. We love you to death. Appreciate you very much. Your Millennial General reporting for duty again, like we do every single day. Let's carpe diem all over this place. What do you say today? I know that they say, here, show of hands. How many people trust the federal government and what they tell you? Show of hands. Can I see them? Anybody? Anybody at all? No? When they tell you something, do you actually believe it? Because they lied to us again. As they say, the financial institutions are stable. Don't worry about more of these banks failing. There's nothing to see here. Those aren't the droids you're looking for. When they try to tell us this, then our radar should be going up. Our red flags should be popping up in our minds on how that's not the case in any way, shape, or form, as we now have another bank, First Republic Bank, the fourth largest bank in the country, that's failing miserably now as they've lost nearly $230 billion in assets over the last month, eclipsing the Silicon Valley Bank collapse. 3 of the 4 largest bank failures in the U.S. history have taken place over the last 2 months. according to the Hill.com, as the banking institutions continue to struggle under the Biden administration. Now, they can say, Andy, it has nothing to do with Joe Biden. I mean, there's some validity to the fact that it's tied to the Democrat policies in the Biden administration, with them wanting to expand government, raise interest rates, completely just destroy a lot of the investments. You got to remember, these banks are investing in things in the government like treasury bonds that have no value anymore because they're crashing with the massive inflation hikes that we're seeing right now, the interest rates that we're raising to battle the inflation. And then because interest rates are high, people aren't taking out mortgages. They're not taking out credit cards. They're not taking out auto loans. They're not refinancing their mortgages nearly as much as what they were. Last number I saw was about 7% down in the last month alone, from February to March, or March to April. I can't remember, but doesn't really matter. Because of that, these banks are struggling. The last actually I saw was near 200 banks that were on the cusp, the precipice of falling. And if that's the case, man, what the heck's going to happen to this entire banking system? So while they're all invested in these quote-unquote long-term treasury bonds, and the treasury bonds don't have a whole lot of value to them, First Republic is the fate when the bank revealed its loss of $100 billion in deposits after SVB's collapse that led to the panic among wealthy clients, because this bank especially as well, the vast majority of their clients were individuals that had money well over that $250,000 FDIC insurance policy, meaning if you have $250,000 in the bank and the bank closes, you're insured by the federal government to compensate for at least up to $250,000. Most people there had more money than that $250,000. And when the concern happened, everybody started pulling their money out of the bank, and you can see how well that's working out. So the panic created by the mainstream media, while trying to not create fear and paranoia in the system, because they don't want the system to look bad under the Biden administration, is failing with them reporting it, people getting scared and pulling their money out, causing the financial collapse of certain banks, while all of them as well being invested in long-term treasury bonds with the Treasury Department, who's taking those quote-unquote extraordinary measures, according to Janet Yellen, to make sure to pay off the debt with the upcoming debt ceiling that could be coming relatively soon. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Biden administration saying that they're open and willing to having a conversation about the debt ceiling just weeks before they close. Who called that one? Anybody? Show of hands. Did we call that on this program? That the Biden administration will put the blinders on and ignore the debt ceiling debate until the very last minute. And now, just like the playbook calls for the Democrat playbook, is wait till the last minute. Now it is we have to raise the debt ceiling without any spending cuts. And even though we're over 120% of the GDP in government spending and government debt right now, raise it nonchalantly, no issue. And Republicans, if you try to cut any spending, then you are the most horrible human beings on the face of the earth, and people will die in the streets. And that is how we start the program today. Welcome into it. Gene Clancy coming on the program. He's with Americans for Prosperity, a senior fellow at the Americans for Prosperity. He's also part of the Paragon Health Institute. We'll talk about the Biden budget coming up, his proposal for it, and the modernizing of the Medicare system nationwide. What does Biden have in store for Medicare as we continue to push this global government-run healthcare system that's a complete disaster? And you can see how well that's working out under the Obamacare system we have right now. So we'll talk about that and more coming up at the bottom of the hour. This ties into this topic with the debt ceiling to a degree, but this one blows my mind, man. This is our latest in What's Trending.
What's trending today?
And I had to find a couple different sources here because I could not believe my eyes when I actually saw it. I didn't believe it, and I thought it was a joke or some type of Babylon Bee or some type of spoof satire bit. But oh no, it's real. It happened. It took effect yesterday, and there's nothing we can do about it now. What do I mean? I want to start off with the analogy first for a second to just set up the stage for you here, shall we? Remember at school, and I don't know if you remember when you had the conversations where we have obviously the A students, the really ones that are smart, either work really hard at it or it just comes naturally to them. You have the A students, the B students, and then the ones that struggle a little bit, the C's and D's and sometimes the F's. I don't think it's hard to get an F. Like if you have to really work at it to get an F just by not showing up and not doing anything. But I guess some people do. But remember the conversation you had in class when you were in grade school. And the teacher made a comment of, or maybe you had the conversation of if someone has A's or B's and someone else has D's or C's, that we should average it out as a class average to do like a C plus or a B minus. Remember those conversations? And it really started maybe in government or debate class. We're like, oh, that's a great idea. It just balances out. Everybody's fair. Everybody's equal. The redistribution of your grades based on how much effort you put into it doesn't matter any longer. You could bust your hump every night studying, memorizing, preparing for the test. You get an A. Someone that shows up and just gets a D and doesn't care about it now equals out and they get to pass because they equal out the average among the class. Remember those conversations? And how most individuals, most commonsensical individuals are like, yeah, that's kind of a bunch of crap. I put a lot of work to get that A or that B plus. I busted my you-know-what to get that grade because I want to succeed. If they don't put in that effort, then that's on them. Or if they need to be taught a different way because they're just not clicking with the issue, that's another story. But let's find a way for them to teach or to learn on an individual basis as opposed to the one-size-fits-all educational system we have thanks to our school boards and public education system nationwide. I want to relay that down to an issue today. There is a new housing policy. Not sure if you're aware or if you've seen the news here. And again, this did not make the national news until it took effect yesterday. So it's already in effect. And now 27 states have state treasurers and other top finance officials challenging this on new housing policy in the nation, as they call it, unconscionable policy. Here's what the plan is. If you have not heard this new plan or agenda the Biden administration has. If you have a house and if you have high credit score, if you have a high credit score because you pay your bills on time, you've played the game for a long time, and we'll get into how credit scores are actually made in a minute and how stupid this system is, but nonetheless, you have a high credit score in the 700s, high 600s, whatever. I think mine's like 700 right on the dot. Not bad, but not the best. 750, whatever. If you have a high credit score, under this new housing policy from the Biden administration, you will now be paying more on your closing fees and more on your monthly mortgage to subsidize those who have lower credit scores and are higher risk borrowers to be able to purchase a home. Oh, yeah. No, this is not a joke, and this is already in effect. This is already here. It's not theoretical. It's not, let's debate it. No. It's here, and it's already being challenged in court. We're not talking about people with higher incomes. We're talking people that have higher credit scores that have a mortgage will now have an additional fee on top of their regular mortgage to fund and subsidize mortgage loans of higher risk borrowers. Here's what the plan is according to Fox Business. Biden's plan was outlined just a few weeks ago by the Federal Housing Agency and is set to take effect yesterday, Monday, May 1st. The plan is aiming at helping lower-income borrowers afford their monthly mortgage payments. It would do so by forcing people with good credit scores to pay more each month for their mortgages, along with extra payments that would be credited to the loans of the higher-risk borrowers. The controversial policy has been attacked by both Republicans and Democrats, according to Fox Business, including President Obama's former federal housing administrator. On Monday, the financial officers from 27 states weighed in and said it was clear that the policy was a mistake even before it took effect. Quote, "It's already clear this new policy would be a disaster. It amounts to the middle-class tax hike that would unfairly cost American families millions upon millions of dollars." Here's where this is crazy. And most people know this. This is really an explanation for the other side of the aisle that doesn't quite get this, that lives in their parents' basements and who hates the financial system because of evil capitalists and whatnot. So, how do you get a higher credit score? That's the first question. How do you get a higher credit score? By playing the game. That's really, if you listen to Dave Ramsey, that's why he says credit's stupid. You don't have to do it. You can use cash for everything that you need by saving money up, which is the more responsibly financially way to do things. But in a real world, it's very difficult to do that. So how do you get a higher credit score? You have different lines of credit. You have a mortgage, you have a car payment, you have a credit. Well, those are like loans, and you have the revolving credit, like a line of credit on your house or a credit card that can be rechargeable, and you use it over and over and over again, and you make the payments. And the more you have of it, and the lesser ratio of that debt that you use on it, and how frequently you use it, then your credit goes up. meaning you have to pay a heck of a lot of interest. You have to pay on a lot of different debts in order for the system to be like, you're a good citizen, and pat you on the head and gives you a high number. That doesn't mean you have a lot of money. It means you know how to play the game and you've paid a lot of money into that system in order for you to look good on that credit score. But they don't care if you have a lot of money or not. This is like if you make over $400,000, if you make over $1 million. No, it's not that. It's if you have a high credit score and a mortgage, you're now going to pay a higher fee on your mortgage to subsidize people that do not have good credit scores. People that maybe have defaulted on debts, people that are not financially in tune to do things responsibly, people that waste money or cap out their credit cards or default on a lot of debts. They still now apparently need to qualify for a mortgage, which would be a high-risk individual because banks would not want to loan on a mortgage to an individual that cannot pay their debts, that cannot pay their mortgage, that cannot pay any type of debt because they've defaulted on them. No. Now they're going to qualify because you, after doing the good citizen, paying thousands and tens of thousands of dollars into the credit system by working on your credit, by doing things the proper way and building from scratch and building up from nothing, getting that A in school, you are now going to pay into a pot that's going to subsidize higher risk individuals to get a mortgage. Dude, seriously? Seriously? That's where we're at today, right? Socialism is here. The redistribution of wealth is here. And they're doing it not based on your income, but how well you've played the system. Congrats. Now help this guy out behind you.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Andy Hooser here, reminding you not only can you listen to the Voice of Reason on your favorite radio station, but also check out the video of the program on TV and online. We're excited to be working with our partners over at OpsLens to bring the Voice of Reason live every day on their website at opslens.com, on the OpsLens app that you can download on any of your smartphones, or on any of the OpsLens social media. It's a great network that broadcasts multiple shows promoting truth, reason, and common sense, reaching thousands of viewers every day, all day long. Plus, while you're there, you can always watch some of the best highlights of the show during the weekends or read our latest opinion columns on topical issues of the day. Also, if you want to interact with me during the program, just leave a comment on their social media or the OpsLens app stream. You can always join the live chat rooms, or if it's easier, just email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, that's HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. This is your show, and we want to hear from you. Why? Because it's time for you to be your own voice of reason in your own community. Looking for more reason? Well, now you can get even more content from the Voice of Reason through our Patreon site. It's your exclusive membership for being the ultimate Hoosier-holic. On our Patreon, you'll get additional interviews and content that we don't get to air on the radio, behind-the-scenes action from the Hooser Media Network, plus one-on-one video streams where you can catch up with me, guests of the show, and other great Voice of Reason supporters. Plus, you can also support the show by checking out our gear and swag. Find the link on our website at HooserReason.com. Again, that's HooserReason.com. Become the ultimate Hoosier-holic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason, and I want to tell you about my friends over at OpsLens. As you know, they've been a great partner with the program, along with so many other TV, radio, and podcasting programs from all over the country talking about really anything you want to hear, from current events, Second Amendment, politics, health and lifestyle, and so much more. No matter your interest, OpsLens has a show for you, helping educate, entertain, and battle the mainstream propaganda machine. And you can watch this show along with so many others live on their website, their app, or any of their social media sites. Plus, you can catch up with the latest blogs, articles, and stories from all the different show hosts and contributors. What more could you ask for? And now OpsLens wants to give you the opportunity to stay in the know on any issue going on all around the world without the bias, control, and manipulation from the mainstream media or social media. It's time for you to check out OpsLens Worldview. Don't fall for the one-sided reporting of the mainstream media. It's time for you to learn the truth, which means it's up to you to find the truth, and OpsLens Worldview can help. Sign up for OpsLens Worldview and see articles, blogs, reports, stories, and statements from elected officials or government agencies, along with local news stories and police reports from anywhere in the world on really any topic. Find out what's really going on from multiple sources without the filtered journalism or one-sided reporting. Now you can stay informed on global issues as they happen from the local sources, accessing more than 1.5 million online posts every day with tens of millions of blogs and first-hand accounts, all at your fingertips. Just go to opslens.com and click Worldview and use the promo code VOR10 for a 5-day free trial and 10% off when you sign up. Again, that's VOR10 for 10% off when you sign up for OpsLens Worldview. It's time to take knowledge, truth, and wisdom back into your own hands. And you do it right here with the voice of reason and opslens.com.
Fighting for freedom every day. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the program. 24 minutes past the hour. So we have now the official redistribution of wealth at a level that you don't even have to be wealthy. You just have to have a high credit score, meaning you're semi-responsible with your debts. You're on time with your payments. You work hard to make sure your payments are done on time and in the right amount, and you do it with different types, and you play the system nicely to where you work your credit score up. And now, like, cool, you're responsible. So now this isn't even like you're rich and you can afford it. This is you've done well playing the game. Now you have to do it for somebody else because they haven't been responsible with their credit and with their finances. Now, for those that are like, well, less fortunate individuals, they don't have the opportunity. First, I call shenanigans on that one because anybody can get a credit card nowadays. They had the boost lined up to where you could sign up for a credit card when you get to college. You don't have to have a credit score, and they can give you a $300 one. If you've messed up your credit really, really bad, you can get the ones with like a limit of like $300 or $500 to start building that credit again. Working on credit is not a hard issue. Getting some type of line of credit is like one of the easiest things in this nation. So the ones that say there's less fortunate ones out there, sure, there may be some challenges, but it comes down to the responsibility of how you actually work your credit. And a lot of people can't. And I'm not judging them in any way, shape, or form. That's okay. That comes down to the reiteration that we have on the show all the time of taking financial literacy classes. Why is it not mandated in every public school, every private school, every charter school, every homeschool curriculum across the nation that before you graduate high school and even in college, it's mandatory for you to take financial literacy classes? I wish I took them when I was younger. I wish I took, because I would not be in the situation I am today with my $50,000+ of student loans after going to university for 2 years that I didn't get anything out of except finding out where I was going to go. So I guess it's the life experience to figure out who you are, Andy. And I guess there's a benefit to that, but it cost me $60,000 to figure that out that I'm still paying on. So I guess there's a benefit. You got to look on the bright side of things all over the place. But I would have done things a heck of a lot different if I would have taken those, because I didn't. I was one of the young, dumb college kids that assumed I go to college, I take out the student loans, and obviously I'm going to be able to pay it back. Everybody lives this way. Everybody just pays it back easily. It's not that big of a deal. Come to find out, the contraire. We're in a system to where they didn't tell us that, in which case credit isn't the smartest thing sometimes. Building credit can be good, but it can also be bad, and you have to do it responsibly. It kind of ties into the whole, let's take, for example, the reparation argument in California, paying black individuals $5 million in the city of San Francisco alone. It's going to cost them like $6 billion or whatever ridiculous amount that it's going to be because of, well, I don't know why, because California wasn't a slave state, so they weren't slaves in California, so I don't know what the reparations are for exactly. But they're talking about the reparations of paying individuals $6 million apiece, wiping out all of their debts, and selling them homes for $1 apiece. Now, you can do all of that, which is going to bankrupt San Francisco. That's going to bankrupt California. That's already bankrupt, which means at the end of the day, you and I eventually will subsidize that on a federal level. But beyond all of that, what is that going to do to the individuals? Let's look at someone that is struggling, that's been in a lower to middle income family their entire life, that all of a sudden gets a $6 million drop into their bank account. Anybody. I'm not talking about race or demographic or anyone. Just a general individual. If I had a $6 million plop in my bank account tonight, Would I be financially responsible enough to use that wisely, or would it be gone in a few years? Remember Erin Brockovich? After the whole movie about her exploiting and exposing that company that was dumping the toxins into the water, she was a multimillionaire. She's broke because no one taught her how to use that money. NFL stars, they get these $1 million contracts. At the end, when they're retired and they have concussions, and they can't walk and they don't know what their name is half the time, they're broke. And they have to be taken care of because we don't teach them how to use it responsibly. You need to teach them the responsibility, and just giving someone a home and subsidizing it based on someone who's not wealthy but has done well with their finances smartly, how does that benefit them when they don't know how to use it wisely? This makes zero sense. Good golly.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. When I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government censorship and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the Voice of Reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates, from holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the Voice of Reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast. Become your own Voice of Reason and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website or social media link, or to find out about everything we do to challenge the mainstream establishment, visit our website at HooserMedia.com. Again, that's HooserMedia.com, the future of media. The Hooser Media Network continues to grow every single day with new shows, new content, and new information as we continue to fight the narrative against the mainstream and give you the alternative view of the world. The Hooser Media Network is home to great TV, radio, and podcasting programs on any topic of any interest, from politics and current events to religion and spirituality, holistic and alternative health, entertainment, motivational speakers, and so much more. And with the Hooser Media Network, you can enjoy great podcast programs like Safe Space with Cheyenne.
So, Hans, how did you come up with doing the illustrations with all of the spiritual talks?
Well, again, I've been studying spiritual path ever. I was a young person. I didn't believe what the churches were teaching us, and it was only later when I came across a material like Edgar Cayce when I realized that Christ actually was teaching reincarnation. And that is a very important element. Suddenly, the moment I understood this is a part of the true Christian teachings, suddenly everything makes sense. Why are people sick? Why are people happy? Why are poor? Etc. Suddenly, it makes sense. It's all related to previous lifetimes and our actions is sowing and reaping principle. So this made a lot of sense to me, and I followed it more and more through. And over the years, I've studied many wonderful teachers. And just only 10 years ago, I started to put this into short videos, which I illustrate, because I am an illustrator and writer of children's books mostly, also for all other ages. So I use my gift as an illustrator to show it and how the dots always connect. For me, it helped a lot. If I get some IKEA furniture to put together and have to read how to put it together, I wouldn't understand it. But if they make drawings that this part belongs to this part and this part, then I can do it and then I understand it. And I think other people are very similar, that once you see how everything connects, how karma works, how reincarnation works, and when you visually see it, then suddenly it becomes so much clearer. We can talk about reincarnation, we can talk karma and suicide and so on, but visually seeing how it all works out and how it all connects is a very different story. And they have become very popular over the years. As I said, these videos are totally free. This is not my main line. My main line is still writing and illustrating my books. Mm-hmm. I do this to share this with other people because I remember how when I was young and I was desperately looking for some information on these topics, and there was hardly anything available at that time. Now today we have YouTubes. When I started off, of course today I would take TikTok, but it's difficult to squeeze it into 1 minute, what I have to share usually over 5 to 10 minutes. And so I did this video to reach mostly young people because the attention span is only a few minutes anyway, so I had to make it very short. And I follow Einstein's famous quote that if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you haven't understood it yourself. So I really have to make it very clear to myself that I understand it. And I'm learning through doing this, doing my series. I'm learning, I understand, suddenly this all makes sense. And that's basically what I do. And I share this for free. You have to join nothing. They're available. I merely offer this. I have zero interest to convince anybody that what I share is right for them or for anybody. I'm only sharing it and I leave it up to you. So I fully respect other people's beliefs that they don't share mine. And I have, as I said, no need. If you don't like it, that's fine with me too. So that's where I come from. And that is the basic story of my videos on lifeexplained.com.
Well, you are doing what you should be doing, because those videos found me and a few of my friends, and it's definitely what I needed to be educated on and the way I needed to be educated. So I appreciate you breaking it down. I know there's the Greg Bradens of the world, right, that are going to teach us about human chromosome 2 and the gamma state and compassion and heart and brain coherence and all of that fun stuff. But I really, really enjoy having it broken down into a very, very, I always say, let me go back to kindergarten. I'm like, let's go back to Sesame Street. Take me back there and build me up there. So that was one of my favorite things about finding your videos. So today I did bring you on to talk about the heavy-hitting topic of suicide. And I reached out to you specifically because, of course, I watched your 8-minute video of how you explain it. And I want you to release the suffering of anybody that could potentially come across our episode today.
Listen to all these programs and so much more as we try to bring back knowledge, wisdom, and truth back into the world. And we do that right here with the Hooser Media Network, the future of media.
When Reason Meets Radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, darn right it is. Welcome back into it. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting, trying to cram that 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag, trying to rebrand the millennial generation, one radio listener at a time. Just carpe diemism all over the place. Welcome into the show. The insanity out of Washington, D.C. continues, obviously. This new housing policy, I've never seen anything like this before. 27 states, the state treasurers, along with financial officials, quote unquote, are challenging this one. But the fact that we didn't know about it until it took effect just today, just voila, here it is. And thank you, ad on Interweb in Fox News. It's wild to think that this is where we're at now. You don't even have to have a lot of money. You just have to have a high credit score, because you played the game well and you've been consistent on your bills. Now let's throw some money into a pot for the quote-unquote high-risk borrowers trying to get a home, because we have to increase the home buyers. What this really comes down to is, unfortunately, my generation, the millennials, who are so delayed in purchasing their own home and going off on their own because of the debts that we have, and they say the student loan stuff, and because we're not responsible with our money, and because we like to go on trips and do extravagant things and not actually save up for anything. So it's our damn fault being financially irresponsible, but because of that, the new generation's not buying homes, so therefore they're like, you know what? You may be a high-risk, low-income borrower, but we're still just going to allow you to buy a home. We'll just subsidize it with people with high credit scores by paying an extra fee on their monthly mortgage, because that makes all the sense in the entire world. Oh, we live in a maddening world right now, isn't it?
We're all gonna die because of you!
Let's get into what's trending today. What do you say?
What's trending today?
Let's shift gears a little bit as we talk about the Biden budget and things going on in Washington, D.C. And I absolutely love this organization. We have them on frequently to talk about issues going on all around the country. And my great friend at the statewide level here in Kansas, where our flagship radio is a wonderful friend. And I love talking to different groups and chapters of them all over. Americans for Prosperity. With our next guest, he's a senior policy fellow at Americans for Prosperity, also at the Paragon Health Institute, public advisor as well. Excited to have on here Mr. Dean Clancy. Dean, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Good. I am excited to have you on the program, and I appreciate you jumping on here. We're shifting gears a little bit from, I don't know if you've heard that new policy about the housing policy now. High credit scorers that have a mortgage now get to pay an additional fee to fund and subsidize low-income and high-risk borrowers to purchase homes, because that's apparently going to solve the housing issue in the nation.
Yeah, that's great. I'm not a housing policy expert, but I think I've seen this movie before. It was called The Big Short. You know, we lived through it in 2008, where we tried to give everybody a free house, basically, and bad things happened.
Yeah, that's going to work out swell. So we've already seen the end of this movie. We can stop popping the popcorn on that one. Let's shift gears to where your focus is on the healthcare issues right now. And before we get into the actual Medicare issues, just healthcare overall, since the taking over of Obamacare, the consuming of a sixth of the U.S. economy at the federal level with Obamacare, now we see deductibles that are double and triple. We see premiums that are double and triple. We see less stuff actually being covered through our insurance plans. How are people faring with this? Because as far as I'm aware, one of the biggest debts that people do default on is their medical debt still, isn't it?
Yes, that's absolutely right. Healthcare costs are a real pain point for most Americans, and Washington is not doing anything to make it better. And in fact, as you suggested, they have been making it worse over the past couple of decades. And so now it is more expensive, and it's harder to find a doctor that's in your insurance plan's network. It's part of what is, in effect, a creeping government takeover of healthcare, but it's not making healthcare better for people. At Americans for Prosperity, we do a lot of polling. We've asked people, what are your top three issues? Right now, they say it's inflation, jobs, and the cost of healthcare. And 40% of people say healthcare costs are a crisis. And I think they're right about that. And so what we need, of course, is reforms that increase competition and give patients more choice and control. We should fund patients, not insurance companies, and, sensible reforms. And at AFP, we call that a personal option approach to health care rather than, a government takeover or so-called Medicare for all. Unfortunately, as the 2024 election campaign cycle starts in earnest, President Biden is out there proposing big increases in health care spending and taxes to pay for it, and also significant cuts to the Medicare program, while paradoxically accusing his opponents of wanting to do exactly the same thing, take away your Medicare, take away your health care. So it's situation normal. Healthcare politics is in a bad way, but we're hopeful that the American people can weigh in this election and get some good policy reforms.
That would be really nice. I would love to see that. Are we still battling? I know here in Kansas we haven't done it yet, thankfully, but on the same note with Medicaid expansion at the statewide levels that's being funded supposedly 90% of the way with the expansion through the federal government, is that still a topical issue for many states? And how is that program faring out with the funding of that from federal subsidies?
Yes, the so-called Medicaid expansion, that was a part of the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. And basically what the feds said was, hey, states, you have to cover everybody up to a certain level. And what that did was expand Medicaid from kind of a safety net for very low income people, truly vulnerable people, into a program that's now covering a lot of able-bodied working age adults who frankly don't need the help. They have access to health care at work, or they can go to the online health insurance marketplaces to purchase a plan. And so it's waste. But because the feds, the Supreme Court said, no, you can't make the states do it. And so it became voluntary for states. But the feds are offering 90 cents on the dollar for the states. So basically, states only have to pay for 10% of this additional cost. 40 states have gone for the deal. 10 states have not. And at AFP, we have argued all along that this is a bad policy. Instead of expanding Medicaid, we should make health insurance more affordable for everybody. Yeah. And I fear that eventually most of the holdout states will, they'll end up with a governor and a legislature that succumb to the temptation to take the free money. But it can't last forever because it's truly unaffordable, and we're heading into a recession and fiscal challenges, and cutting back on the Medicaid expansion, I think, is is going to be on the table in Washington.
It's going to have to be at some point. Let's bring it down to the local levels across the nation right now. We have a lot of doctors' offices and family physicians that aren't accepting Medicare or Medicaid, either one of them, because of the fact of the reimbursements for what they're charging for certain things, and they're not getting it. And the few that are is bombarding the system with the amount of individuals, and it's kind of a run-of-the-mill factory. Just put them on the assembly line, pop them a pill, and send them on their way instead of doing real medicine. This has not helped the quality of our healthcare system at all on either of those fronts, has it?
No, you're absolutely right. Medicaid is notorious for very low quality health care, for doctors refusing to see Medicaid patients. There's even studies that have been done that suggest that for certain complex conditions like cancer and heart disease, you're better off being uninsured than being on Medicaid. The reason is Medicaid only pays about 25% of what a private commercial health insurance plan would pay for the same item or service. So, of course, a lot of doctors simply can't afford to take many Medicaid patients because it doesn't cover their costs. Medicare is similar, but it pays about twice what Medicaid does. Medicare, of course, is for seniors and the disabled, but that's still only half of what private competitive health insurers would pay for the same item or service. And so even there, you have about 30% of doctors refusing to take new Medicare patients. That leads to access and quality issues for them. It's just a terrible way to run health programs. And we think the solution is to give people more choices, to allow more competition. Wherever there's competition, prices go down, quality goes up.
Yep.
And we think that these are safety net programs. People deserve that.
Yeah, what a concept. We're talking with Dean Clancy, Senior Policy Fellow at Americans for Prosperity, which you can find online at americansforprosperity.org. Also partnered with the Paragon Health Institute as a public advisor as well. Let's the Trump administration, when he was talking about it, and unfortunately we didn't get to repeal Obamacare as much as we would have liked to under his administration, but that was the one point that he had made. He said, let's allow them to cross state lines, insurance companies, to be able to go across state lines, compete with each other in the markets, because like usual in a private sector, when you have more competition, quality goes up, the price of the care actually goes down, and then you actually have options for individuals. Just that alone, as you've mentioned that a couple of times now, would that be the savior in this issue? I mean, obviously we have some other issues. Would that be actually one of the biggest things that we could do to solve this problem just right now?
Well, having more competition between insurance companies is vital. States regulate insurance, so the across state lines thing has to be done state by state. You know, Kansas, for example, could say, you know what, we'll recognize insurance policies. We'll let them be sold here, regardless of where they are issued. So states should do that. Meanwhile, there are other options. For example, allow people to buy short-term health insurance plans, which can be significantly less expensive, like 50 to 80% less expensive than a conventional health insurance plan. Why? Because they are exempt from all these federal mandates, and so basically you can tailor the coverage to your needs. What do they say? A Liberty Mutual, pay for only what you need. That's what we need in insurance markets.
I like that. Dean, hold that thought. We got to take a hard break here, but I want to continue that conversation when we come back in a second on some of these other options, because it seems like there's options out there. We just have to do a little digging to find it and fight back against this absurd, ridiculous system. Lots more coming up.
Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Andy Hooser here, reminding you not only can you listen to the Voice of Reason on your favorite radio station, but also check out the video of the program on TV and online. We're excited to be working with our partners over at OpsLens to bring the Voice of Reason live every day on their website at opslens.com, on the OpsLens app that you can download on any of your smartphones, or on any of the OpsLens social media. It's a great network that broadcasts multiple shows promoting truth, reason, and common sense, reaching thousands of viewers every day, all day long. Plus, while you're there, you can always watch some of the best highlights of the show during the weekends or read our latest opinion columns on topical issues of the day. Also, if you want to interact with me during the program, just leave a comment on their social media or the OpsLens app stream. You can always join the live chat rooms, or if it's easier, just email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, that's HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. This is your show, and we want to hear from you. Why? Because it's time for you to be your own voice of reason in your own community. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You want some more reason throughout the day? Well, now it's easier than ever to find. Here's what you do. Check out the website at HooserReason.com. There you can find past shows, links to all of our social media, special features, our monthly blogs, and a heck of a lot more. Plus, make sure to check in frequently, as we're constantly working to add more goodies that you'll really enjoy. Also, you can always subscribe and follow our social media sites for bonus content, articles that we use on the show, or maybe some additional rants. Yeah, it's all that and so much more. Check it all out at HooserReason.com. Looking for more reason? Well, now you can get even more content from the Voice of Reason through our Patreon site. It's your exclusive membership for being the ultimate Hoosier-holic. On our Patreon, you'll get additional interviews and content that we don't get to air on the radio, behind-the-scenes action from the Hooser Media Network, plus one-on-one video streams where you can catch up with me, guests of the show, and other great Voice of Reason supporters. Plus, you can also support the show by checking out our gear and swag. Find the link on our website at HooserReason.com. Again, that's HooserReason.com. Become the ultimate Hoosier-holic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. As we continue to grow as a radio and TV program, we're continuously working behind the scenes to try and bring more common sense and reason to more patriotic Americans all over the country. That's why we're super excited to be working with the OpsLens team to bring you the voice of reason every single day. OpsLens is a national online network bringing you incredible content all day from hosts all over the country. And each host brings their own unique experience and expertise to the current events, reaching hundreds of thousands of patriotic Americans daily. Make sure to check out their website at opslens.com. Make sure to download the OpsLens website and follow them on all of these social media sites that you like, so you can watch all their live streaming content, including ours right here with the Voice of Reason. Plus, if you want more of the Voice of Reason, check out our website online at HooserReason.com. There you can listen to the live audio feed of the show every single day. You can read our monthly blog. You can check out our satire infomercials. You can see pictures of what we're doing, upcoming schedule of events, and a heck of a lot more. On the website, you can find our list of radio and TV affiliates in your area. Find our social media links, and while you're there, sign up for our free newsletter. Over the last 2 years, your Voice of Reason newsletter has grown exponentially. It's completely free, and in it we give you your monthly motivation, upcoming civic holidays for the month, a recap from the show from last month, upcoming guests on the program, along with the latest news from our Hooser Media Network. It's pretty simple. All you got to do is go to the website at HooserReason.com and become the next Hoosier-holic. Finally, follow us on all of our social media sites. With the iron grip control on content from the radical left, unless you follow us, you're not going to be able to see us. It's been an ongoing battle with shadow banning on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, where even our own fans are having a hard time finding our content. But the battle isn't over. We'll continue to bring you the best content we can on as many platforms as possible. You can follow us with the handle at Hooser Reason. No matter what social media site you like to use, you can find us there. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch.tv, Instagram, TikTok, ourfreedombook.com, Parler, and of course our website at HooserReason.com. Don't miss it while we give you a heads up on some of the events that I may be attending or speaking at, updates of behind-the-scene projects, or just something sarcastic to try and rile up the left. The battle for freedom is real, and we want to be part of that battle, as we want you to be your own voice of reason in your own community. Conservative principles happen at the grassroots level, and that's what we're here to help with. And together, you and I can fight back against this virus that's spreading across the nation that is socialist policy, trying to destroy this country. We can bring us back to some constitutional values, some individual sovereignty, and the right for you to be able to make your own choices when you deem necessary for you, your family, and your community. In a world of fake news and information overload, it's time to bring back some reason, common sense, guidance, and a little bit of wisdom. And that's what we're here to do. This is the Voice of Reason.
Fighting for freedom every day. The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
All right, it is. Welcome back into the program. Last few minutes here of the show flies right on by, man. We could do 4 hours of this program every day, but we only have one. Trying to cram it all into 1 hour of awesomeness. That's what we do here on the show. Welcome back into it. Right now, we're hanging out with Dean Clancy. He is the Senior Policy Fellow at Americans for Prosperity. I love this organization. These guys rock it. AmericansForProsperity.org. Check out the website and check out the chapter in your state, in your area. Help out. Let people know. I say there's so many different political issues, debates, obviously social issues and philosophical issues and whatever else, but we don't have the opportunity to debate them unless we're in a good financial state. And right now, we ain't in a good financial state. So we need to figure out how to get that back on track. And right now, Dean, we're talking with regarding the health issues and the expansion of Medicare, the expansion of Medicaid, these government programs consuming this healthcare industry, bankrupting the nation, lowering the quality of our healthcare in our nation, and destroying the private sector. One of the options as we look at alternatives, and Dean, as we kind of wrap up in the last few minutes, we were talking about some alternatives to this. I know one of the issues, and actually they started here in Wichita with some of the first ones, is the direct primary care providers. And you pay the membership to the family physician. You get to see them an X amount of times a month. You get calls. You get discounts on the prescription. And you don't even need insurance because of how ridiculous that system is. Do you think that that's a future, or at least a portion of the future of healthcare as we try to overcorrect this issue with what's going on right now?
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned direct primary care because there is a revolution going on quietly around the country. People are, in effect, quiet quitting from health insurance, not completely. Direct primary care is not a substitute for a health insurance policy, but it's a great supplement, and it can. You don't need as much insurance because, basically, as you said, you're just doing a monthly subscription to your favorite doctors.
Yeah.
It's a subscription-based model, so you know how much you're paying, and the doctors spend more time with you. And, I like to ask people, does your doctor give you his personal cell phone number? Mm-hmm. Of course, the answer is always no, unless they use direct primary care. Then often the doctors do. They want to be available to answer your questions. They do it, text, email, telehealth. That's all standard. And they often will give you great discounts on generic drugs they buy directly from the manufacturers, give you referrals for specialists and lab tests and discounted prices. And it's the free market at work. You and your doctor and no insurance middleman sitting there in the exam room with you trying to, hurry you out or make sure you don't use too much health care. DPC, as we call it, really is an exciting new model, and we have been working to pass legislation in the states and also Washington to remove barriers so every American has this as an option.
Yeah, I think that is going to be, like you said, maybe not the entire substitute, but a good alternative, or at least a substitution for a large part. That way, you don't have to charge the $50 to go to the doctor if you use your insurance, or you have to rack up you got to pay $1,000 before we even start covering it. Then we'll only pay 30% of it kind of thing for these scans when you can do it through these direct primary care providers, which is, like you said, the free market at its best. And coincidentally, when we go through the private market like that, it seems to be a lot cheaper. What a wild concept, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, DPC is wonderful, and we would love to supercharge it by letting every American have a tax-free health savings account. So the money that you would use for DPC subscription and all your out-of-pocket medical costs would be tax-advantaged, just the way large employers are getting a tax break for providing health plans today, but you would be in charge of that money. And we know from studies that when people have a health savings account, by the way, you can keep the money, it doesn't go away at the end of the year. Right. Whatever you don't spend, you just keep. You can build it up into a huge nest egg for your future health care costs. But people shop for value because they want to get the best value. Big problem in American healthcare today is the patient is not the customer. It's these health insurance companies and hospital corporations and so on that are the real customers. Yep. The patient is kind of sidelined. But with DPC and HSA, that's a powerful combination for folks to take charge of their health care and save money.
I completely agree. I think that's the future of it. We just have to let everybody know about it. And once they are aware of it, I've never seen anyone turn it down and be like, oh, that's a terrible idea. They love this because it is, like you said, it's Absolutely. A great opportunity. It's Dean Clancy, Senior Policy Fellow for the Americans for Prosperity. Find him online at AmericansForProsperity.org. Dean, we're out of time, my friend. I could talk to you about this for hours. I love it. Let's get you back on the show again real soon.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Enjoyed it.
Hey, absolutely. Likewise. We'll do it again here soon. Until then, we're back at it again tomorrow for the midweek celebration. But be aware. Have that conversation with your friends. Start the movement. Be that catalyst in your own community. It's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. This is The Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser. We'll see you on the radio. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the voice of reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates. From holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the voice of reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast. Become your own voice of reason and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website or social media link, or to find out about everything we do to challenge the mainstream establishment, visit our website at HooserMedia.com. Again, that's HooserMedia.com, the future of media.